Thousands of protesters have stormed the streets in Melbourne, a normal city day turning to chaos over a global weapons expo.
Chaos gripped the streets of Melbourne this morning as thousands of people gathered to protest the Land Forces International Land Defence Exposition, which will host senior international military, defence, government, scientific and industry delegations from around the world. A 7 News reporter, Tegan Dolling, was assaulted during a live cross with Sunrise hosts Nat Barr and Matt Shervington. 7 News Melbourne's Paul Dowsley was at the scene for hours today and he joins me now. Now, Paul, I've seen some of the footage that you've shared on Instagram. You were right in the thick of it. How would you describe what you experienced today?
Well, a word we just heard used was chaos, and it was simply that, chaotic and unpredictable, highly charged, emotive, violent, and frankly really sad to see on the streets of Melbourne in many ways.
Yeah, I think Australia as a whole would be shocked today thinking that something like this, these scenes were taking place on one of our streets in one of our biggest cities. But let's rewind a little bit. What exactly was this defence convention all about and what were the people protesting?
So this is thousands of delegates or attendees coming to Melbourne from around the world to see about 800, just over 800 exhibitors who are essentially pitching and selling their wares, which is weaponry and ammunition. There's tanks, literal tanks inside this building, and every type of warfare, item that you can imagine is being discussed and sold and traded or otherwise in there. So it's like a toy fair that you would go to, where you look around at all the cool stuff, but to these people, they're looking at weaponry, and the protesters say that is abhorrent. Not only is it abhorrent as generally as an event, but that Melbourne should not be welcoming, that the state government should not be allowing it. They say that these are weapons that are causing genocide in Gaza at the moment, killing innocent people. So you have a lot of pro-Palestinian protesters involved in the group that we've seen today. There's more than 20 different protest groups who have all banded together under one umbrella. And there's also environmentalists who are concerned about the environmental impact of warfare and weaponry, as well as those who say that the governments around the world are spending too much money on defence, particularly at a time, they say, is made crystal clear at a time when people are struggling so much, and people can relate with the cost of living pressures here, inflation pressures here. They say the government has their priorities wrong there on their spending.
Yeah, well, people have a right to peaceful protest, but you were there for hours. Can you identify a moment where things went from being peaceful and started to get out of hand?
Look, I got there about 6. That was when the protesters were set to get there. There were 3 separate entrances to the venue. So we started towards the back and then came to where the larger group was at the front. I guess it was still dark then, but as more and more people come, and then police also reposition, so you've got movements of people happening. And it's actually fascinating to watch how it goes in waves of violence, and then it calms down, and then the police might move or someone might throw something, and then the police charge, and then it can calm down again. It really does. There are flashpoints. It's not like that the whole time, but it was very frequent this morning, particularly at that front entrance. And this was happening, boy, the sun had barely even come up, and people were red hot. This was their one chance. This was the day they had said, if you're going to come to any of the protests across the week, today is the day. They'd hoped for about 25,000. That was the hope they had on their website. I'm always loath to give estimates on crowd figures, but police say it was under 2,000.
And what can you tell us about the Victoria Police response? They say that it was their biggest operation since the S11 protests outside the World Economic Forum in Melbourne, which was 24 years ago. We're hearing stories about capsicum spray, even stun grenades being deployed. What did you see?
I saw all of that. Boy, haven't seen that much capsicum spray used for some time. I have not also seen that many rubber or pellets being fired by police as well. I would have counted dozens of shots from police into the crowd. And this is clearly not designed to penetrate the skin. It'll give you a sharp sting and a big bruise. And it's designed also to disperse the crowd, as well as those massive booms that were coming from the stun grenades. And they used the mounted branch as well, very well to disperse the crowd, trying to stop them get through some pinch points towards the back this morning. But this was some significant artillery, I guess, used by police. Maybe that's not the right phrase, but the police were also on the water, in the air. The dog squad was there. So this was almost 2,000 police, and as you say, the biggest protest since another just down the road at Crown, pretty much next door, more than 20 years ago.
Dozens of arrests were made, but what happens now with this event set to continue over the next couple of days in Melbourne?
Well, the protesters will keep on coming. I wouldn't say that it will be as intense or as large as today, but they've vowed to be here every day, as they have been doing protests in the lead up since Saturday. And I should also note here that police have said that they've not only had projectiles like locks and pieces of metal thrown at them, they say that there was acid thrown at some of their members, what they've identified as acid. We've also been told by police that balloons filled with vomit were thrown at police as well. But I would say this will cool down over the next couple of days. Today was always designed to be the big one, but they will remain a presence there with the potential for flashpoints tomorrow and Friday.
Yeah, you just hope that idiots sitting at home watching this don't look at it as an excuse to just come along and cause trouble. It's just not what we want to see at all. It's just a sad indictment on everybody, I think, this terrible situation today. 7 News Melbourne's Paul Dowsley, we really appreciate your time and bringing us this first-hand account of these incredible scenes in Melbourne today.
You're welcome.